guys, so in the last video I intended to show off my new axles, but the video didn't render right, and the scene I had in there didn't get into the video, so just wanted to show off. This is my new 33 spline axle. This is the old 28 spline axle, so you can see the difference in thickness there. I just have this kind of sitting on top of here, and you can see that the axles that my dad and I were able to find are like the perfect length, so it's pretty exciting. That's a not a very common find, and we found a set of these axles and a 31 spline spool for a 10 bolt for $100. So that's like way really hard to beat. So also, I didn't show this off in the last video, but some of you well, no, you wouldn't have seen it because I didn't have the scene in there, but these are the new wheels that I just picked up as well. They're Jegs 15 by 10s with the Chevy bolt pattern, and I got a set of 255 drag radials on there. You can see I got a matching set in the front, 15 by 4s, and what we're gonna do today is we're gonna get this old clunker out of here. So alright, so I got the thing tore out of the car. So next step is to cut the housing ends off and throw my 9-inch housing ends onto it. So line this up. So you can see pretty much perfect. So we'll get this sorted out and get this thing back on the road and see what it does. Alright, catch you guys. Alright, let's get this thing going. So you'll notice there's a good portion of the engine setup no longer on the car. So here's my T67, and I'm gonna upgrade this guy. And while I'm at it, well, I guess while I'm upgrading the wastegate, I'm going to upgrade the turbo. So I've been talking about putting a 7875 on this thing for a little while, and we're gonna do it. So that's what we're gonna do today. So let's talk about turbos. So on the right we got the T67, on the left we got a 7875. So something that I've noticed on this car is it seems to be running into back pressure issues. Now, back pressure basically is caused by an exhaust that is restrictive, and the essentially pressure is building up in here because it can't flow through here and out. So that makes it harder for the compressor to get gas into the combustion chamber, which means you don't make as much power. So this is a T67, turbine is a 66. What I'd like to upgrade to is a 7875, so 78 millimeter compressor, 75 millimeter turbine. The other thing you'll notice is the geometry of the turbine housing. You can see on the 7875 that it is much larger. Now, The other thing that can cause excessive back pressure is not having enough exhaust on the outside. So basically it's the exit of the turbo, the exhaust is too small. I doubt we're running into that because we're running a 3.5 inch, and that should be enough to support like 700 horsepower, and we're only making like 400. So that's not the problem. I think the turbine is the problem. It's just so small, it just can't make power. So it might make a slightly laggier setup, but I'm pretty much able to spool this thing to anything I want when I'm sitting on the foot brake. So that's fine. So what we're gonna do is, the next thing I'm gonna talk about might irk a few people. So I bought this, or I guess I should say my dad bought this 7875, and the guy said that he had swapped the turbine out to a different turbine, and he didn't get it rebalanced. So I bought this billet wheel. So the nice thing about a billet wheel is it's more efficient. So it makes less heat because the geometry is better. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap out that impeller and put in a billet impeller, because this was $50 and it was a cheap upgrade, and it's already not paired. A lot of you might say, you need to balance that. Well, the guy who owned this previously has done turbine and compressor swaps more than a couple times and never had any issues. So we're going to send it and see what happens. Wish me luck. Old, new, old, new. Think it'll make a difference? If that doesn't make a difference, I don't know what will. But my wastegate tube, it's the same size, but I thought I had it lined up right, and clearly it's not. I think this might have been just a tad longer, which pushed that away. So not a big deal. Just got to cut it off and weld a piece back on, and add a little bit, and we'll get it. So got to get the turbo plumbed, of course, and get my wastegate, my boost controller back plumbed up and all that. But I think it looks pretty neat with the billet wheel there. Definitely is a much larger turbo, which is cool. I'm a big fan of big turbos, but I think we're going to finish up the rear in the next video. Have a buddy setting the backlash. We don't have any of the shims or anything to make it all work together, so just have a buddy setting it up for us, because he does, and he's all set up for it. He's got a case spreader and all that, so we'll get that going and get the axles in it and get this thing back together. I'm looking forward to driving it again, especially with this guy over here. I think some of our back pressure issues are going to be somewhat alleviated, and we'll be pulling some high RPM G's. It just seems to, I don't know, it's similar to a feeling that I felt. We have a Sunbird, a Pontiac Sunbird with a 5.3 liter LS engine in it, and our very first setup on the car was with a Precision 5976E turbo. So it's a 59 millimeter compressor and a 76 millimeter turbine. And it had a T3 housing on the exhaust side. So our logic was, oh, it's a 76 millimeter low flying helicopter. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not. Anyways, what was I saying? So yeah, it has a 76 millimeter turbine, which a 7875, obviously that's a 75 millimeter turbine, so we figured, hey, 76 millimeter turbine, it should work okay. 59 maybe a little small, but hey, it'll spool fast, and it did. It definitely did, but that T3 housing, I think it was a .68 AR, that thing choked that thing to death. And it would just kind of like, it would pull real hard, and then it would just kind of sit there. And it would just, all right, you know, you'd be like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it was likely due to the small turbine. Well, it was due to the small turbine. We actually put a back pressure gauge on it, and the back pressure ratio was like 3 to 1, and they say don't go more than like 1.5. So it was like 12 pounds of boost, and we were seeing like 50 pounds of back pressure. So actually it was like 4 to 1. So yeah, that obviously was a very bad idea, and it didn't, well, it worked. I mean, it went 1080 at I think it was 134 or something like that. I mean, it you know, for such a small turbo, it did all right. But anyways, how that relates to what I'm talking about now, I kind of felt a very similar sensation to that in this car. It just kind of, it pulls, and then it just kind of sits there. And I'm hoping that it's back pressure related, and we can have a little more high RPM pull, and it may just be because we don't have any cam, which I don't know, there's that gets expensive. So anyways, this is going to turn into a really long video, and I really like doing this. It spins pretty good for not running, obviously, but anyways, I think that's where I'm going to cut it off today, and hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll get this thing going. And I'd like to not blow it up for we had a big car show in town, the Street Rod show, and I'd like to not blow it up because I'd like to take the car to that, just because I think people would get a kick out of it. So we're gonna take it easy, you know, try to actually see if we have boost control, and just see where we end up. So wish me luck. All right, catch you guys.